The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into, featuring in-depth interviews with today's most influential entertainment figures, highlighting their tips, tricks, and techniques on breaking into the entertainment industry.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into.
Hey everyone, you're watching Breaking Into. I am your host, Derrial Christon. Here joining me today is one of the top movie executives in the game. His name is Quincy Newell. How you doing, Quincy?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. He is not only the EVP and general manager of Codeblack Films in LA.
That's right.
That is a huge accomplishment. You guys do a lot of great distribution and work out there.
Thank you very much, man.
Now, we're going to teach people tips on like how to enter certain aspects of the industry,
Right.
which is what you've done. What would you recommend as something as a start as far as like a major? I know that you were a business administration major at Pepperdine University.
That's correct.
And do you need to be a business administration manager kind of to keep it general in order to break into different aspects of entertainment?
No. I just think it's just important, number one, to get education.
Yeah. Right.
So, whatever that is, whatever, passion you have, pursue that, but through education. I think it's really about figuring out what your skill sets are fit into the larger picture, right? I just look at, whatever it is, whether you're psychology, you could be a writer. If you're a business person, you can be in accounting, you can be an attorney, whatever it is, but just understanding what your skill sets are and how they fit into the bigger picture.
What attracted you to entertainment? Is because obviously business administration can be general. You can go corporate, you can go to different aspects of marketing. But what attracted you individually to entertainment?
Well, people are going to hate me for this, but it was never really a specific goal.
Okay.
I just pursued opportunities as they arose, but I always focused on business. Right. So I happened to come from a family of entertainers. My family history is in music. They're all musicians and own a publishing company. So I was, introduced to it through my family. But then I just kind of took it from there. I always wanted to learn a bit about how things worked. So that ultimately led me to the position that I'm in today.
And now you were talking about music publishing at Hits Magazine. Yeah. And then you transitioned to Rhino Entertainment and then on to Paramount. Was it a hard transition to go from music into more of like film portion, like distribution and portions of the entertainment business?
No.
Because they're kind of two totally different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different product, right? Yeah. But, the function is essentially the same, right? You're taking a product from idea to inception, from idea to realization, and then you're marketing that product to a consumer.
Yeah.
It just takes on different forms. So, that's how I always approach things, is figuring out what the basic similarities were with the businesses, and then just, learning the things that were unique to that business, right? There's a difference in, creating an album and, what that medium is versus a film, obviously. But ultimately, what we're doing is taking a piece of product and creating that product and selling it to a consumer. So, that discipline is essentially marketing and understanding your consumer base.
That's true. Now, you also are a doctorate candidate. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's hard. But.
Well, you seem to juggle a lot and make it all happen like almost smoothly. But how important is it to continue your education as far as like making it to the top like yourself as holding different senior management positions in this industry?
I think it's critical. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I will never stop educating myself, and especially in today with, new technology, things that you guys are doing here, which is fantastic, by the way. Things are evolving quickly. So, it's in your best interest, no matter what you're doing, to have continuing education. If you're a lawyer, you have to have continuing education hours every year. Yeah. Same with being a doctor. Whatever field you're in, it's continuing because things are changing. So I think it's critical. I never look at myself as arriving anywhere or being an expert in something. Rather, I look at myself as being a continuing student of whatever discipline I'm in, and also, seeking out new information and new education for things that are on the horizon. So that's how I think of things, and that's how I approach life and business.
And you've held many positions on the executive level. What tips may you recommend to someone who is maybe starting off in the business or maybe trying to figure out a particular degree on what to focus on? What would you kind of give them as a tip to start to get to the path that you've gotten to thus far?
Three things. First, pray. Right?
That's very important.
That's very important
for any level of the business
no
that you're
what you're
in.
Doing, just pray. Just pray on it a little bit. Second is be flexible, right? There's a saying, obviously, where you have your plan and then there's the plan, right? Be flexible because you never know where opportunity shows up and what it looks like.
That's true.
So I think it's critical just to have your eyes open and understand that things might be a little different than what you thought. And the third is to be there's the idea of being an entrepreneur, but I also call that little discipline being an intrapreneur, right? When you're inside of a business or you're in a particular role, always be looking at things in an entrepreneurial fashion. What can you do that's different? What can you bring to the table that adds additional value? Where can you be innovative? And that idea doesn't have to live outside of a company or a building. It can live as a context, right? So whenever you're doing things, and what you're doing here is, it's a different mold.
Yeah.
How can you create opportunity for yourself within your current situation? So those three things, and are always critical to me, and I continue to employ that. Wake up, pray, be flexible because you never know where you're going to end up.
That's true.
And then constantly be an entrepreneur inside and outside.
And I think this is the type of industry where, you can set yourself as having a plan, but you never know what the next kind of window is going to open up for you. I mean, you kind of have to just go with the flow with it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've had set ideas of what you wanted to do, but you've also, it sounds like with prayer and just in the fact of just kind of having a overall agenda, it's kind of helped you to be open to whatever opportunities may be presented to you.
Absolutely. And open your, open yourself to mentorship. There's a lot of people around that are mentoring you that you may not realize are mentoring you. So I think that's, something to consider as well. But you're absolutely right. I didn't plan on being here.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a great intro, but I'm just Quincy who, loves to surf. I'm a dad. I try to learn as much stuff as I can, and I've been blessed. I've had some good people show up in my life, but I think I've done a decent job of taking advantage of opportunities and really just trying to maximize them, right? I look up to a lot of people that are my peers, that are, doing the same thing that I do, and I watch them and I see what they're doing. I look at, the other executives, and I just try to learn, just try to soak it all in, and I never, look at myself as hey, I've succeeded. People will say, hey, you're succeeding. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm still on my journey. I'll succeed when my children have achieved what they need to achieve in their lives.
Well, I'm sure you're a great mentor to them. As you were kind of developing your career at the beginning and even now, is there someone that you've looked to be your mentor? And also, how important is that for someone starting off, or just, even if they're not starting off, even if they're in the industry and just are trying to take it to the next level, how important is having a mentor in this industry? I think
having a mentor is critically important. I think it's very, very important. But, there's different types of mentors,
True.
From an executive level, you seek out mentors. Like for me, the person I work with, Jeff Clanagan, he's been sort of a mentor for me.
Jeff's a great guy.
But every company that I've worked with, I've always seeked out, the CEO or the CFO and just ask questions. What's interesting is people are very willing to help you if you ask. But I think we have this idea that it takes on some other, I don't know what it is, but, some thing's going to show up and, hey, I'm your mentor.
Right.
I don't think it works that way. I think it's simply, if you have an idea, you have a question, go ask. And sometimes you'll receive mentorship, and that mentorship can be 5 minutes. and that's all you'll get from that person, right? But every opportunity to learn and get information is a form of mentorship. But I think mentorship is critical, and I think people like me, have to do that more.
And then obviously you work in film distribution and have been a senior management executive for many years. Is there some place that, say, if I'm looking online and I'm trying to break into this aspect of the industry, that I could look to maybe find a group of people that I could meet someone like you to help me out and give me advice towards my career? Is there something that you suggest in that form?
I mean, yeah, take advantage of any kind of a festival or a conference, where people like myself might go, because usually they offer opportunities for anyone to show up and, attend there. Like the American Black Film Festival is one. There's a lot of executives that show up there, and you can just buy tickets in, Urban World in New York,
Hollywood Film Festival
here in LA, Pan African Film Festival. And there's venues where we are. But I think it's about, how deliberate you are in seeking out that opportunity, right? And what it is you're looking for. I mean, it's, again, you should have a thought of what you're trying to do, not just asking someone to get you a job. Yeah. Right? Because, as like that's the, someone walks up to you, can you give me a job?
Right.
Like, well, no, that's not, it doesn't work that way, right? But if you're asking for information, I think, for the most part, people are pretty willing to share and offer things. But also, through whatever school you're in, right? If you're in university, you're part of any organization, any fraternities, sorority, or whatever it is, just see what everyone else that's part of that organization is doing, where they're at, because you might be surprised what they actually may be doing and what access they may have. So just, research, due diligence. There's no secret if that's the question.
There's no one-way ticket to getting to the top in entertainment.
There's no one-way ticket to getting to the top, and getting in and involved is really about the effort you put in and how strategic you are about it, but also not being afraid to ask.
Yeah. And what if you're someone who, you mentioned going to university and just, or if you're in the industry, what if you know that you want to break into some aspect of what you're doing in entertainment, but you really don't know specifically what you want to do? What might you suggest to go about figuring out like your particular niche in this industry?
Like I said, you don't know where you'll end up, you know. But I think, first is figuring out your passion. If you're in school, what are you passionate about? Because first thing is you want to be happy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, not everything is what it seems. It's all hard work no matter where you are. So, finding your passion is critical. Once you find that passion, do research and figure out, well, where does something like this fit into this world that I want to get into? And there's a variety of things that you can do. And doing research on how, what is required to be that person and start working towards that. And I think a lot of people look at the entertainment industry, they really focus on like a very thin layer.
The glitz and glamour of the portion that everyone sees on TV or YouTube or whatever it may be.
Exactly. But, there's a variety of things that people are doing. And, like the finance and accounting people, if you're out there, you see, they don't get a lot of credit, but there's a lot of...
They're making it happen.
Yeah, that's a big area. Business affairs, which is, a lot of attorneys, but you don't have to be an attorney to be in business affairs. It's just understanding contracts and negotiation, that sort of thing. So there's a variety of areas. And I always, for me, in my mentorship, I encourage, young folks, especially my kids, to not want to be, or to look at being an actor as your only option, right? To be, an athlete or something is, there's a lot of, you can be a psychology major and be in the entertainment industry.
Very true.
Right? You can be a computer, science major and be in the entertainment industry. You can be an accountant and be in the entertainment industry. It's really about, just finding a career path, finding something you're passionate about and see where it fits in.
And what would you say some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people make by trying to enter into this business?
Unrealistic expectations is one. Lack of flexibility.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably one of the biggest, is that, I want to be X, but your opportunity that has been presented is Y. And you don't want that opportunity because it's not what you've planned on. But that's your entry point, right? You hear a lot of stories about people starting out in the mailroom. I'm sure they didn't want to.
Lots of stuff. They say a lot of agents start off in the mailroom who are top agents.
Yeah, and they say not everybody wants to be a mailroom person. I'm assuming, but that's not the point. Point is you have to ask this earlier. How do you get in?
Yeah.
How do you get in a position to rise or ascend to a particular place? Well, it's number one, getting in.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to be in areas that you might not be interested in, but that's not the point. The point is getting in the door, surveying the field, making contacts, gaining mentors, learning, seeking information, and figuring out your path within that, and being an entrepreneur inside the building.
Yeah, our founder, Maria Menounos, who obviously is at the top of her game in entertainment reporting at E!, she's told us many times, she's like, you know what, encourage people to take internships for free, learn from a mentor, really sit there and like soak in everything that they do, because it's only going to help you in the long run.
Of course.
So I totally agree with what you're saying, and I hope people really understand that if they're trying to enter into the business. Now, I know currently, as I was mentioning, you're at Codeblack Films, and you're the EVP and general manager.
Correct.
What are some of your responsibilities that you hold in that position?
What do you call it? Fireman? I mean, my main focus is just, managing the day-to-day operation of the business, which, is forecasting and budgeting for the company and for projects, business affairs oversight, where we're, negotiating deals and, making sure that those deals come to fruition or are completed, but also work on a particular timeline, setting up schedules for for the company as far as release and, where our profit has to fall, managing the team, mentoring our team, setting goals for the team, just making sure that we're tracking towards profitability So it's like you wear a bunch of hats, and, and because I've been able to, work in different areas.
It's helped you.
Exactly. Right. It helped me be a bit more well-rounded, so I understand I can communicate with people in different disciplines.
And then you've generated millions of dollars for the companies you've worked for, as far as film distribution and just even some of the roles that you're talking about right now, being general manager at EVP. What would you say are some of the steps that are needed to conquer film distribution? As far as someone, we've had a lot of actors and producers who've come into the show, or who have tweeted us and asked us, like, how do I really break into this? Like, what tips can you give me in order to get a film distributed? And since you have so much experience with that, what would you say to them?
That's an interesting question. It's because it's so broad, right? But I'll speak from a perspective of my position. If a person's a filmmaker and they make a film, they're presenting their films to us, and we're evaluating them. The first thing I think that always should be looked at is that we're all in a business, right? There's creative, but it's a business at the end of the day. You're spending money to create a product that you're hoping to make a return on at some point. If you have investors, that's your obligation to your investors. So given that, I think it's really critical that you understand the business that you're in, understand the business model. So that way, when you're having conversation, you're speaking on the same plane with the company you're dealing with. So I think that's really critical, is understanding the business that you're in. Making the product is actually just one piece of the overall pie. It's, figuring out how to create, kind of the ideation portion, what it goes into creating it, what your potential profit break-even point is. What you're going to need out of a deal in order for you to achieve that. Is the product marketable? There's a bunch of things. It's kind of business school 101, where you're just looking at a product and its life cycle and how you can make a return on that. So sometimes we compartmentalize things, where I'm a writer, or I'm an actor, or I'm a producer or whatever. The bottom line is you're all business folks.
Yeah. Revenue is revenue.
Revenue is revenue, right? And it's probably in your best interest to understand every other role, because if you do, you understand how you contribute to it, what your value is, but also whether or not it's feasible for you to expect the return that you think you're going to get. But the entertainment industry is very attractive. It's very sexy, and we hear millions of dollars being made or supposedly being made.
Right.
But sometimes we don't even understand that. Yeah. That's not necessarily exactly what it seems, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really just understanding the business model that you're in, so that you can be more effective in your pursuit of whatever it is you're trying to pursue.
And I know one of your mottos is successful businesses seek collective good along with shareholder value. Can you explain your stance on that?
I think it's important to be responsible. And I think a business can be responsible, not only to its shareholders, but its employees as well, but also to the public at large, the society, the community. We hear so much about, especially in like the banking crisis, how a lot of decisions were made, without regard to how other people are going to be affected, and some people's lives were ruined, So, my philosophy, and, I don't have complete control over how things happen, but my personal philosophy is rooted in, look, you can be a good person / business and still be in business. You can still be seeking profits without looking to harm anybody, right? And still by doing good and be, considering things that are in the interest of the consumer and your employees without, being unable to satisfy your shareholders.
Yeah.
So that's just my philosophy. I worked for a company that had, similar similar ideology, and I saw the company do really well. Rhino Entertainment was one of those where very socially active, very involved in the community, and Lionsgate, it's also that way as well with their Lion Shares program, where they go out and we volunteer, we do a lot of things to give back to the community. I think you can do both. Yeah. Right. It doesn't have to be about greed and profits alone. It can be about doing good, giving back, being responsible, and being profitable.
And then with working with Lionsgate, as you mentioned, obviously we've kind of seen the industry transition and change, and you've worked with a lot of urban projects. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the big studios now are more open to and receptive to putting out these bigger urban distributions and just being open to the African-American projects that are out there?
I think they have to, right? I mean, there's a history of our product being successful. There's a history of our marketplace, proving by showing up at the theaters and spending money that we're a viable, valuable consumer segment. So I think they have to. And I think in the last year, what you've seen is a string of films that have helped to continue to prove, Will Packer's done a fantastic job at Universal. Yeah. That this is a viable marketplace, but the demographics are also changing, right? True. I think, businesses, if they're smart, have to understand that the face of America is shifting, the hue is shifting, and if they are going to maintain their ability to have a consumer base that's supporting their product, they have to recognize those consumer bases and provide content and products that speak to that audience. So it's just good business, right? But I do think that for the most part, you're seeing a shift to a degree, and there's a recognition that there's a value in those marketplaces. And there's products that are being created for it. I hope that continues, and I hope. Do you
think it will?
Yeah, I think it will. I think there's more people that are involved in the creation process and also in the executive suites that have a sensibility. We are. I'm a hip hop generation executive. I grew up in that era. And I am that person for sure. I'm an adult though, and I've matured and grown and. But that's my experience. So I think, there's more people that are like me of color, but also people that are not of our hue, right. That have also grown up in that
and been influenced by that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just part of our culture, right? Yeah. And so it's a different time, it's a different day, and that's, it's evidenced by, the voting process we've seen over the last
very true.
Few years that, we've shifted. So I think it's inevitable. Are the companies going to go willingly? I can't speak to that, right. But I do think that it's inevitable, and it's just a matter of time.
Is there any changes that you would like to see that have not taken place in the industry as of yet?
Much more diversity. You know, I think diversity is good business. I come from that school of thought, you know, based off of some of the things I just mentioned. You know, but I like to see more diversity. I'd like to see more, you know, people of color in the executive suites, you know, really making decisions, more people of color behind the camera, you know, in the other areas of business. You know, of course, I'd love to see more, you know, diversity in front of the camera, but I think we're seeing that a bit more.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Shonda Rhimes is helping us out a lot.
She's helping us out a lot, but there need to be more Shonda Rhimes.
I agree.
It can't just be one.
It can't just be one. Those days of just the one are over.
It's done. But you know, more of that. I'd like to see more of that. I mean, I think there's a positive trend, but you know, it absolutely is nowhere near where it needs to be.
And then you're kind of like a rarity because you're able to use left and right brain. You have the analytical problem-solving side, and then you also have the creative side. How are you able to balance that, and how has that helped you in advancing in your career?
Interesting. How have I been able to, it's just who I am. You know, I happen to be a Virgo, right? My analytical side.
Oh, those Virgos.
I was joking.
No, I'm joking.
You know, I just happen to have that. I like that. I'm interested in you know being analytical and understanding things. But I come from a creative family. You know, I'm a musician, drummer. You know, I've always just had that aptitude. So it's just something that I have, and I've exercised both sides. You know, I just didn't fall on one side and say this is what I'm going to do. But I think it's been very helpful because it's allowed me to be a bit more well-rounded, right? And it's not difficult. Don't want to put that out there. It's a similar point to being well-rounded, having a bit of an understanding about everything. You know, be interested in more than what you are passionate about and learn about it. So if you're a writer, understand the business anyway. You know, if you're a producer, understand the business anyway. If you're a director, understand the business. It just means that you're well versed. So I just taken that logic and have tried to employ it, but it has been very helpful because I've been able to navigate and be flexible. So being flexible, and then those opportunities arise, I'm able to communicate and also take advantage of it in an efficient and productive way that benefits me.
And then if you could give a graduating student one single piece of advice, what would it be as far as entering into this business?
Ooh. Be resilient.
I like that.
But again, I always go back to be flexible. Understand that your mission is to achieve something here.
Yeah.
The road to that isn't in a book. If you read biographies across, anywhere from Steve Jobs to whomever, their paths are wildly different, right? So there's no one way to get to a destination. So be versatile, be flexible, move, be quick, but be resilient, and be focused at the same time. Those things can coexist.
And then what was the best single piece of advice you've ever received in this industry? That's really stuck with you.
Ooh, that's interesting. Just never, I guess it's back to resilience, but just never give up.
Yeah.
Don't quit.
Stay strong.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of waves in this industry.
There's a lot of waves. There's a lot of waves.
Roll with that wave. As you're a surfer, roll with those waves.
That is right. But never give up. Keep focused. Oh, I do remember my grandfather told me this. Tomorrow is going to come no matter what you do. So you might as well start walking, right? So he would always say that, right? So it's no goal is too big or too grand. If you start walking, you're ultimately going to arrive. It just might not be tomorrow. It might be 10 years from now, or it might be 4 months from now, who knows? But as long as you're walking, you're moving, and you're doing something. So that's one of the things he used to instill in us and me specifically, because I was impatient. But he's like, look, hey, just put one foot in front of the other, man. Just keep moving.
Well, we need more people like you in the industry, I would definitely say. I mean, you have given us a lot of insight today, and I think you probably inspired a lot of people who are listening or watching. What would you like to conquer next in your career?
Conquer next in my career, man, just to continue to have one.
That's very important.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Quincy. Where can people find you on social media if they want to ask you additional questions or learn more about you?
QuincyNewell.com, is a website that I have. I've never even given that to anyone. Didn't even know that was going to be asked. But I'm on Facebook. You know, I'm available.
All right. Well, check him out if you want to find out more information about him and Lionsgate and Codeblack Films and a lot of other projects that he's worked on in the past. Yeah. Thank you for tuning into Breaking Into. I'm your host, Derrial Christon. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And happy Halloween. Any special plans for the weekend?
Yeah, going to see the Danny Elfman concert tonight, where he scored all the Tim Burton.
Oh, Tim Burton films. Yeah, that should be fun.
So
is that
my wife
the Hollywood Bowl?
No, it's at the Nokia Theater.
Nokia Theater. Yeah. All right. Well, don't go visit him there, but check him out on social media outlets. Thank you for tuning in.
From producers Maria Menounos, Derrial Christon, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The following is a presentation of the Ncredible in Black Hollywood. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.